Hello again, everybody. This is Steve coming to you with another episode on writing musings. This is number 3. I have some quick topics again to discuss with you. In the last one, I talked about how technology, basically technology begets technology. Each technological step brings about the potential for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And without the previous one, you can't have the next one. If you want a great example of this in action, yeah, my cat's over here doing commentary about my recording. Anyways, if you want a good example of this in action and you don't mind watching anime, because I know some people don't like anime, but this one I think is worth watching. Or if you just don't want to watch the videos, you can watch you can read the manga. There's a series called Dr. Stone. And it's an anime that kind of covers this same idea. He comes into a society that's tribal, very prehistoric, does not have any modern conveniences, is just barely surviving. It has one guy in the group who's kind of a scientist. He's curious enough that he could become one if he wanted to, but he's not. He doesn't really become one until Dr. Stone shows up. Dr. Stone basically just shows him up like big time. This kid's basically just starting into the exploring phase, but Dr. Stone already has all the knowledge to actually make the stuff happen. But you end up watching how they have to achieve each one of these milestones to get this various technology, like, communications, transportation, all kinds of things like that. And it's a neat series. I mean, it's not the greatest story, but if you're just looking at it from the technological side of things, it's a great example of how technology begets technology, and how one technology is needed to bring about the next, bring about the next, bring about the next. So, anyways, I wanted to just toss that one at you for you to review, because that, like I said, that's a great one to look at. Number 2, why do I share my failed story ideas? Well, part of that is to show that it's okay to fail. You will fail as you're writing. There will be failures in your life. Stuff that you do well, stuff that you don't. It's not, something that, I failed, I'm just going to get up or give up. No. Just, okay, I failed, this one didn't work, or I can't make this work. That's fine. I'm going to learn from this, because the stories that I failed at, I still brought things away from them. Some more than others. Like Cyberhawks, that one I took away a little bit. It wasn't too much that I actually found that was usable that I could carry over into other stories, but I carried over a few ideas. Planetfall, that series failed, didn't work, so I took a bunch of ideas out of that. That one I actually was able to harvest a lot of good ideas, and I forwarded them over to the After Offworld series. So there's a lot of stuff in After Offworld that was in Planetfall that Planetfall didn't make it, but those story ideas did. Now the funny thing is, there's some things that were from that series that got forwarded over to another book I'm going to do. It's supposed to be a standalone. I don't think it'll be a series, but it's going to, right at this point, it's going to be a standalone called The Children of Ember. And there's a bunch of stuff that happened on in that book, in Planetfall, which was originally on the planet of Ember, that will happen in The Children of Ember. So, like I say, even if the story doesn't work, even if it fails, you can still make use of that. You can take some of your best ideas out of there, forward them to another book, stuff that worked, even though other things didn't, and reuse those ideas, learn from it. Why did you fail? What did you do wrong? Is it just something that you couldn't wrap your mind around it? Okay, fine. Pull back. Don't work on that type of book right away. Figure out, do some experimenting. Do some exploratory writing. Like which I'm going to talk about in a second, A Knight's Tale. Again, that's the working title. It'll probably be something different later on. But, I failed the first time at doing a letter-style storytelling, similar to, there's a couple of different books out there. It's not many, because this is a really, really hard genre and style to work with. But I know the one that was successful that's out there right now that was successful is the Screwtape Letters. That one is a good one to read to learn how to do that style of storytelling, which everything is told through a series of letters back and forth between peoples. And it sounds easy, but it's not. So, maybe like if you wanted to try that and you can't get it to work as a whole book, practice by writing letters. Like you're explaining it to somebody. Like what you see, what's happened, all these different things. And you would think that writing a story based on just letters or concourse, communications back and forth. There's another word I'm looking for, but correspondence. That's what I'm looking for. A book based on correspondence, a series of letters. You would think, oh, that should be really easy, and I thought so too until I got in, started writing it, and realized, oh, that's not so easy because there's a whole different way you have to build the story. It's something you're not used to. It's this is something that would stretch you like big time. So anyways, also when I pass along ideas, or when I pass along like overlays or outlines of books that I tried and couldn't make work, what I'm doing is I can't use that because it didn't work for me. I couldn't make it work. So I pass it along in case somebody else can. And if you have a story like that you can't get it to work, tell somebody the outline. Maybe they'll, either they'll spark something in your mind that will solve the problem you had and you could write the book, or it'll spark an idea in their mind and they'll be able to take your outline and your idea and run with it. So, because I already gave you guys one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of my failed ideas that I passed along the idea and said, here, run with it. If you can make it work, go for it. I have no problem giving you the idea if you can make it work, because I couldn't. Number 3, challenging story styles to attempt in the future. I did mention A Knight's Tale a little bit ago. The letter style storytelling. Second person storytelling, that's not easy. That's where your main character is also the narrator. It's not you have the characters and you have the narrator. It's the main character is the narrator. And sometimes you might have several narrators in there. Where say in one scene you have a cowboy and he's out riding with his buddies and he's narrating while the story's going and the dialogue's going and stuff. So you hear the story from inside his mind, but then maybe it switches to another person that's, say, a barmaid in a western bar, and she's telling about all the bar fights, the drunken men, all the guys coming on to her life as a barmaid, etc., etc. So, and it's told from the perspective of the character, not from the perspective of the narrator. So, because, well, it is technically, but the narrator is the character. So it's a really interesting style of writing. I've tried it a couple times. Haven't been able to get past the first chapter because it's so foreign. But that does not mean I'm going to quit. I'm going to keep working on it until I make it work, even if it's just a novelette. I'm not going to give up on these ideas. I mean, if a story idea itself dies and I just throw it out, fine. I'll find a different story idea and I'll keep playing with ideas and stories until I find one that works and can actually make that style of storytelling work. The third one is a dark anti-hero style, kind of like Riddick and some of the others like that. This one's called the Delta Riders, and it's a group of alien mercenaries. There's 2 humans among them, but then the rest of them are all aliens. You got Sarians. There's no Yandian, at least not yet. There's a couple of new races in there. You got, like I said, you got a Sarian. You know about him. You've got a couple of new races in there. One of them's currently unnamed because I haven't figured out what to do with them, or what to call them or anything. But you've got, you've got a Sarian. You got established races too, like one of the mercenaries is an Angolorian, one's a Trigarian. They got a new series, the Fron. You've got the Greasy. You've got an alien species of sentient android birds. They're interesting. I'm trying to think of who else in there. There's one of them, I haven't given him a species name yet that I can think of, but he is a grizzly bear species, anthropomorphic grizzlies, and the dude's cool as heck. if once I get to developing him, you're gonna really like him, because when I was playing around with the idea of his character, he was a ball to work with. Very kind of noble, elegant, big dude, lots of muscle, lots of horsepower if he needs to go in and get into a head busting competition. But otherwise, he's very noble, very peaceful, stuff like that, because he's a doctor and a shaman. I know, odd combination, right? But Delta Riders is going to be a fun one because there's a lot of basically the story dives into the underworld, so you're going to meet a lot of new races. You're going to find out that the Greasy are a major player in the underworld, which is funny because one of the heroes is a Greasy, which the Greasy are basically dragonoids. You're going to have the dirtier side of the Yandians, because the Yandians always try to present this, perfect little pussycat front to the whole society, the whole race. That, yeah, we're just friendly kitties. Don't mess with us. We got claws, but we're not going to hurt you. We're just here for information. And that idea's already kind of started getting thrown under the bus in like First Dawn with Trell. You start finding this out in Weaver's Forge with Loki. Loki's a spy. You start finding out that there's a darker side to the Yandians. Just like Shadow, the Anglorean in Delta Riders, is going to show you that that just like and it's the same thing with Greyfang. He showed you that they're not all warmongering wolves. Moog in the Delta Riders, he's a Targaryen. He's going to show that yes, they like fighting. They're a scrappy species, but not all Targaryens are bad. I kind of did the same thing with the Varnock. There was a side of them that was evil, and a side of them that was good, and that's true with humanity. That's true with animals. That's true with everything. There's a good side and a bad side to everything. So nothing is the perfect knight in shining armor across the board. The rainbows and bunnies and stuff like that. So I'm going to have fun with that one, showing like the darker side of the galaxy and everything that goes on out there. And the last one I want to bring up real quick, I'll probably do a full, more detailed overview on this, but thanks to to all the stuff blowing up around the world and all these wars starting. You got Ukraine that's been going on for a year. You've got Hamas and Israel that just popped up. You've got China, warmongering with Taiwan. You got North and South Korea. That's been ongoing for decades. Closing on nearly a century now. War is a sad, messy affair. It's terrifying. People die. People suffer. Stuff gets destroyed. It's a horrible thing. But war is going to happen. War, unfortunately, is a natural part of this world. As much as I hate to admit it, as much as other people may hate to admit it, especially the peaceniks, war is something that happens. War is a thing that nobody wants, but it still happens. War is something you're going to have to write about eventually too. I mean, I write about it in Earthfleet, or through the Earthfleet series. I write about it in Land of the Lions. I write about it in a smaller manner in Offworld Chronicles, because Offworld's more survival than it is war, but there is battles and skirmishes and stuff. Not great big wars like you have in Land of the Lions at Earthfleet. It's a lot of smaller skirmishes, although there is like a bigger fight at the end. But it's a lot of little skirmishes here and there, little minor engagements and stuff like that. But war and fighting are going to be part of your books. As much as you may hate to admit it, it may just be a war of words. But you're going to have that in your books. And you need to do it respectably and with quality. If you go into full-scale warfare, like with my Earthfleet books and Land of the Lions, you need to figure out your tactics, your strategies, intrigue, spies, intelligence, all of that stuff in advance. You need, before you start writing, you need to have at least, at a very minimum, a basic breakdown of how that fight is going to run. You know, if you're somebody like me who's good at it, I can go in knowing generally what I want to achieve and wing it as I'm going along. But while you're starting out, you need to plot that battle out in detail. Every single, you know, for lack of a better explanation, you need to plot out every single bullet, every single bomb, every single maneuver, and everything. Plot it out in detail. Now, the other thing is, don't be afraid to make changes, because what you see in your head when you're writing your notes may not translate to paper. So if you have to make adjustments as things go along, where you have this really grandiose idea in your head, and then once you start executing, you realize, well, that's stupid, or that's dumb, that's not going to work. Don't be afraid to change it. But you know, definitely start out, plot everything out in detail to begin with, and as you get better and as you get further along, then you can start winging it, and you can do a pretty decent job of winging it. You still want to do notes. I still do notes, but there's a lot of stuff that my notes basically cover the general direction I need to go and the general plot line of what I need to execute, and the rest I just build on the fly. But that, again, that comes with time. I've been at this 32 years. You're probably in your second, third, fourth year. You may be just starting out, never done this before. So note heavily, plot heavily, do outline the whole thing, even if, like your notes are 5 pages and your final scene is 10 pages. So it's a way to learn, because you can, it'll help you through the thought process of how to build this stuff out. So anyways, I will leave it at that, and I will catch you guys in the next video. And if I have well, I don't know when the next one will be. It's kind of like whenever I have thoughts enough to come in and do another recording. But I'll leave it at that, and I will catch you guys in the next video.